Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Welcome to our Total Traffic and Conversion show. Today we're going to talk about various marketing strategies and the website as the hub of your marketing strategies. And we have a guest here with Betty Withrow, and maybe you can introduce Francois here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm delighted to introduce Francois. I've known Francois since 2020 when everybody was out there trying to figure out what to do in the middle of the pandemic. And I can tell you he's an absolutely stellar human being. And not only that, but he's a very advanced business coach with a mind toward the future. And he's well worth getting to know, listen to, and connect with. So that's a short summary. We just reconnected after not speaking for a while, so I'm super stoked that you were able to just jump in today, Francois.
My
Welcome.
pleasure. I like that. Heart-centered, service-driven is my tribe, and we have to walk the talk and make it happen and help each other, and that's what it's all about.
Indeed, indeed. Indeed. So, Greg, I told you a little while ago I seem to be going hoarse, so I'm going to count on you to talk a lot, and I'll occasionally comment. I guess I've been talking all day.
Okay, yeah. So our theme today, we've been talking to various people about websites and the importance of it. And a website's a big idea. Can it be anywhere from an elaborate 10,000 page monster with all sorts of information, or it can be a single landing page. I have some pretty good success with what somebody would call as a mini landing page. It's like two or three sections. You sign up for a newsletter, then there's maybe something in the next section you might buy something, and then something else. And so it doesn't need to be that complex. Our general traffic and conversion philosophy is that we use multiple ways of driving people to a spot to sign up. So the whole magic thing is you get people to hold their hand up and say they're in for a newsletter, in to go to a webinar, they're into buying a course, whatever it is. So, and this is our bias. Not everybody thinks this way, but we think the best hub for those kinds of effort is a website, or at least, in the very least, a landing page. So, and we also think that, if you just, I've got a little image here. I'll put up here. If you only do one thing, you're like, let's say that little hub that's your website, your landing page, and you only do one thing. And if you're trying to hold up your Wells Fargo wagon, it's probably not going to go very far. It's going to break. Mercedes will attest to this. Three prongs work pretty well, and then we've got six there. We probably, on our list of things that we do, we probably have at least 10 to 20 items that with our clients we suggest that you don't have to do it all at once, but it has to be on the list. You start with your LinkedIn profile, you start maybe some Facebook things, get your website up to scratch, and then do other things, including networking. Our other biased idea is that the networking will be more effective if everything else is in place. So when people go and meet you in a networking group and you say you do X, and if you go to the LinkedIn and they said you're selling bicycles in Montana, which had nothing to do with what you said in the networking group, then you've got a problem. And if there is no website, and the website maybe is 10 years old, and that's not saying what you're doing now, like I think many of us, and probably Betty and I both have, like when we go back to our own things, it says, oh, that's a little out of date. We need to keep up with it. Or somebody asked about something. Oh God, I haven't done that for 10 years. Where'd you get that from? So
Right. Right.
anyways, yeah. So that's the thing. So that's our discussion here. And Francois, do you want to weigh in with your perspective on this?
Well, I like the fact that you started with total traffic and conversion, and you said that a website is a key, but then you qualified the website. It could be a landing page. It doesn't need to be elaborate. One thing that I learned long time ago in marketing is whenever there is a discussion with someone about what it is that you do, and you send them to a landing page, and as you mentioned before, your LinkedIn profile or wherever it is that you're sending them to, it needs to continue the conversation that you had with them. And so that enables to have more traffic, total traffic, and conversion, because you're continuing the conversation that you had with that or this individual in order to lead them to the next step and then to the next step, as you have so expertly mentioned before. So I think that total traffic and conversion meets in perfectly with having either a website, whatever form of website it is, but a communication, and not a glorified business card, but more of something that adds value to people in the vein of how or where the conversation when you left with them was. So I think no, it's right. And I love the your three wheels. And I see the first one with just one hub right away. I says, this is gonna collapse. And how often do people only have one thing? I like the visual approach that you have, connecting the right and left brain to make us understand with feelings. And yeah, this, like, forget about unstable. You're gonna die on that one. It's not gonna happen. And so definitely, I like the approach that you have. And 15-20, then I heard the people online and listening to this saying, 15-20, am I gonna do this? Well, good news. You said you don't need to do it all at the same time. And you don't need to do it yourself. Hire people to do this stuff, the experts, the people that know what they're talking about. So that way it can go on your plate. That's one of the things as entrepreneur. We think we have so many hats and we have to do them all. We don't. We don't need to do them all. We can hire other people. And I tell a lot of my clients, I was telling it says, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do it. I says, how's your business these days? Oh, I'm overwhelmed. I says, no wonder. I says, you're trying to do everything. Do you want to serve your clients specifically with one thing? So, yeah. Are you good at it? Oh, yeah. So therefore, why are you trying to do everything else? Delegate to others and be good at what you do. They'll hire you for what you do, and you'll hire them for what they do. That's how the wheel, no, and actually that's how the wheel, pun intended, goes. The more spokes there is to it, the more strong that wheel is. That's why I love it. Thank you.
So your comment about not surviving reminded me of a scene in Dances with the Wolves, right? The wagon master looks over at the skeleton and said, somebody at home saying, why don't he ride?
Yeah. Well, I think that having all the different spokes available for a marketing strategy is definitely key. And then one of the things that we do is go into what do you want to do with your business and establish what direction you want to take and which of those spokes is going to be the most effective for you at the stage that you're in while you're building out all 20 of them. Because clearly, as Francois just mentioned, you don't want to get overwhelmed with doing everything at once. And so as an effective team consciousness, what we do is go in there and go, okay, the guys turn you over to me, okay? And I say, well, what is it that you want this to do about anything that you're doing in your business? Do you want
clarity,
clients one-on-one? Do you want group coaching? What do you want this to do? And then from there, what is going to be the most effective marketing strategy that's going to accomplish that for you?
I love it. Clarity is key. I always say that's the foundation. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, and then you might not like where you end up.
Yeah.
So where are you now, and where you want to go? Right. So
absolutely. And it's basic, but let's face it, it's fundamentally strong if you know where you are, where you're going. If you don't, then you're building on sand. And that's I was with a client yesterday, says, I want to do this, and that. Okay, have you written it down? No, it's in my head. Take it from your head, put it on paper. I always have a notepad besides me where you have to take it out of your head, put it on paper. That's when it starts to take life. If it stays in you, nothing happens. But then when you put it on paper, then you realize, I can't do this. So then you call Greg or you call Betty, and they help you.
Or if you read it back, and when you read it out loud, it doesn't make as much sense as it did when it was floating around in your head, right?
Well, maybe not. Yeah.
That's a good way
to say it that way.
Truly. Yeah. And having a good system is going to save you so much energy too. You've got, as I said, it's all in your head. You're going, and all these different emotional influences come in that prevent you from actually taking effective action. When instead you've got a system that keeps your ideas in order and gives you structure, then you can go to your system and go, okay, how am I going to fill in this box? And your creativity is supported and well enhanced by having that stability instead of you trying to figure everything out on the fly.
You bring out such a good point. I was on a networking event with Kat Stancic today, where there's podcasters that go together, and she was saying many of you have a plan. Many of you have a CTA, call to action. Many of you have a website. Many of you had a lead magnet. And says, but it's all over the place. There is no structure into it. And if there's no structure, how can you expect to go anywhere? And this is something that sometimes as entrepreneurs, we want to do everything ourselves. And we say, oh, I want to do that. I need to learn this. No, you don't. Get off that horse. You're good at what you do. You can clarify things by putting them on paper, and then ask someone who knows, someone who's an expert with this. Betty was telling me about Roy that works in your team, and Roy is really close to Google. And so therefore the Google My Business concept that he brings to the table enables you to rank very high. And so therefore you can get some business. That's one spoke of your business, but he's an expert at it. And by being an expert, he makes your wheel more complete. So you can gain what I like to say, traction. And from traction, you gain momentum. And with momentum, you can start to overcome the obstacles that will undoubtedly come into your life. And dare I say, daily.
Yes. and going back to your comment there with that they have all these things going on, but they're not organized or disciplined or coherent. We sometimes talk about getting all your oars going in the same direction. And people do a bunch of things, but they're not necessarily working together. And to provide, as you said, you start on a networking meeting and then you go into LinkedIn and then your website. Are you continuing the conversation in a coherent way, or all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm no longer in Kansas? You're like, how did I get here? So part of our process, and I'm going to guess part of your process is of these things is to clarity. What is where you want to go?
Articulate it, yes.
And identify the most important thing to do and the important thing to do next. And we also have some experience where, for various reasons, the one thing that people really probably should be focusing on, they don't, because they have there's lots of other things could be great procrastination. Let's just start a new Facebook group. Let's start something else. Wait a minute, you're supposed to be selling this thing. Well, I'm a little bit reluctant to do that. So
true.
Yeah. So we have and there are lots of shiny objects. There are lots of experts like us who will give advice about how to do things and say, well, that sounds reasonable, and run off and do them. But really, we try to, as Betty, what is the phrase you always use? What do you want this to do? What do you want this to do? So we try to clarify what that is, and everything else needs to be in line with that. If it's not, then it's just keeping people busy.
Yeah. And Francois, I remember one time talking about how one of the greatest obstacles entrepreneurs face is getting ready to get ready. Yeah. And I mean, it's like you just described it, Greg, I need to go start a new Facebook group. I think I'll start a Twitter. Oh, no. What we want to know is, where does your audience hang out? How do they communicate? And what is it that you're going to deliver to them so that they can understand that you're the expert that gets what they need and is ready to show up for them and communicate with them effectively?
You bring out a point that is so powerful, Betty. Oftentimes, and we hear, and I believe in it, but it's just half the truth, says follow your passion, the things that you're passionate about. It's true. Nevertheless, you can be passionate about underwater basket weaving, and so that's not going to create nothing for nobody. And it's a joke that Dan Kennedy said many years ago. And now if you go online and you Google underwater basket weaving, there's thousands of information on this. This is so funny. But nevertheless, it illustrates the point that even though you're passionate about doing something, do your homework. Do people want what you got? What is the real problems that they're facing? What are the challenges that is going on? And then from those challenges, you need to find out what's available out there as potential solutions. And how are these solutions helping these people? And is there gaps in these solutions? And hence is your opportunity when there's gaps in the solutions that people are complaining about. And that part that I just mentioned, guilty at first. I didn't want to do this. I did not want to do it, but it's a must. You need to know what's going on before you go into it. You might be brilliant at what to do, but no one wants it. And so that's when everything is built is the wrong time to find out. So ask questions, seek to understand, go out there and make the effort before. And then from those pieces that you have, make your passion come alive in there and be who you are to present the solution that you have. On my weekly podcast on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, How to Become More podcast, I tell people, stop tiptoeing through life. Number one. Number two, someone out there is waiting for a solution that you have. Don't you dare stopping. Keep on getting the message out there in many different ways. And I love what he said with Greg today, with your wheel, have many hubs in it that spread that message that you can help people. And someone needs you, and it can only be through you. Don't die with your song still inside of you. And if you need to have help to do this, I can help you. Others can help you, but don't do it alone. Get some help and make it happen. That's the only way to go.
That's the only way.
Alone, you go fast.
Yeah.
With many people, you go far. Where do you want to go? Fast or far?
Where do you want to go? You also said something very important is to get out there and get the conversation going and getting some feedback. Like part of my background is online courses and memberships. And I generally encourage starting off with something minimal and treating it more as a membership to get feedback right away. Because it's certainly easy to spend a year developing something, thousands of dollars, lots of time, put it out there, nobody wants it. So it's better to find out, if nobody will sign up for something really minimal at the beginning, to even the beta test it, then you probably not, you either you don't have something that people resonate with, or you don't know how to contact those people yet. So it's, better to do that as soon as possible rather than after you've sunk the fortune.
Very wise, Greg. Very wise. Yeah. That's it. So seek advice and find out. You don't know what you don't know, and what you don't know is going to hurt you. I guarantee you it will.
You don't want to be roadkill.
No, that's not a good idea. And it's not a good idea for you, for your family, and the people that you serve. Yeah. Some people, you see, and I'm not saying that your passion should not be out there and says, I should find a need and fill it. That's not what I said. Please understand. The passion that you have can be tweaked into answering and responding to a need that people have. You just need to have the effort to do it. I like to, I use, it's not an easy button, but I say, there's no easy button in life. There's none. There's no easy button. You got to pay the price. And then I come back and I says, do you know that there's an easy button in life? People go, well, you just said that this doesn't exist. I says, yes, it does. Once you pay the price. If you paid the price and you've done the homework and you've done the repetition and you failed again and again and again and again, then there's an easy button. That's why sometimes people are successful. Oh, he's lucky. She's lucky. No. Yeah. Actually, do you know what luck, L-U-C-K, stands for? Labor under correct knowledge. That's what it means. And when you labor under correct knowledge, the more you do it, the luckier you get.
Yeah. And the joke in the music industry is the 20-year overnight sensation, right?
Yeah. Well, you see, each one of those failures is market research. This is how you're finding out what people need and what they want by finding out what they don't want. Okay. And so you can do that market research the easy way or the hard way.
Yeah.
Do it before.
We do it before. And the other thing for, Francois, what you do what's important is people come and they'll put your ideas through. And it's good for a third person, to have a perspective. I'm a really kind of a big fan of Kim Walsh Phillips, and one of her superpowers, and she'll do this live, right? Put somebody in the hot seat, and usually she has an idea what they are, but sometimes people say, this is what I offer, X, Y, or Z. And she'll say, actually, really your superpower in your market is this little twist, right? And they say, yeah, but you need somebody else to point that out sometimes, because sometimes we don't see it ourselves.
And it's I love that you say this, and I'm very visual. Betty knows that, and I like to use real life examples for us to understand. So what Greg just said is, if you think about it, my eyes only see forward, maybe peripheral a little, but I don't see in the back of my head. I don't see my back. That's why I wonder, why do people have tattoos on their back? But that's another story. I don't see there. Anyways, and
That's
so
why they have them there.
yeah.
You have to go look in the mirror to see it.
It's an advanced yoga practice, I just have to say.
But just come back to this is since I only see this way, that's the only way I can perceive. If Betty comes into my life and she's beside me, then she sees things differently. She can see the side of my head, the back of my head, where I'm going, and she can see traps she's seeing things that I don't see. And so therefore, that's why, ladies and gentlemen, when someone comes to you with a problem, it's so easy to solve it. But when it's you and it's your problem, it's hard to solve it. That's the reason. The perspective that you have is very limited. Having other people, especially experts in their fields, will help you to overcome challenges, landmines that are going to blow in your face and you don't know about, but they do. And so you're saving time and money. So invest in others.
Yeah.
Because if you don't invest in others, why would people invest in you? Think about that one. Think about it. It has to flow.
It has to flow. And you talked in the context of problems. Sometimes people don't have. I had this a client ask me a question, and he says, it's related to email or something like that, and my response came out of Groucho Marx. Says, doctor, it hurts when I do this. Well, don't do that. Says you just created a problem for yourself. Life is too short. You don't have to manufacture problems for yourself.
And interestingly enough, I love what you just said. Business wise, whatever you focus on gets attention.
Yeah.
And a lot of business people, when they get overwhelmed, they say, this is not working. I hate it. And now they get so emotionally involved with it that's the only thing that they see. And what I like to teach is acknowledge that there's a problem and then turn around. For those of you who are seeing what I'm doing, I'm looking to the right and now I'm looking to the left, turning my body completely. And what is it that you want? What's the clarity? Or here it is. And as you focus on that, you're going to give life to that. And the other side will die because of lack of nourishment. Worry is negative goal setting. You're giving life to something you don't want. Stop it. My mom used to say, worry is like paying interest on the debt you don't yet have. Think about it.
That's a perfect analogy.
You don't have a debt and you're paying interest. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Invest in yourself. Yeah.
Like, I think it's easy enough to get wound up with something, and then you have to step back and says, well, why was I doing that in the first place? And maybe it wasn't even, it was a side tour. You didn't really need to do it, but you went to go off, and sometimes, and actually, maybe even the fact that it didn't go smoothly is an indication that you're probably on the wrong road. I've had that. I made a wrong turn one time, and I was driving along, and all of a sudden, up in the Northwest Territories, and there were ruts in the road. Okay, no, that's interesting. The ruts got bigger. Okay, this next rut is 20 feet deep. I think I'm on the wrong road.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. These are the roads you don't want to take.
Unfortunately, sometimes we fall into these things, and then we says, "Why did I end up here?" Because you didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
And once again, having someone that knows will help you. If I try to build a website, forget about it. I know about meta tags in the back and putting my tags in order to have the keywords, but doing it professionally and proficiently and in a way that doesn't take much time, I can't do that, but Greg can. And so as Greg does it, it goes much faster and he gains traction because he knows what to do. If you're stuck in a rut yourself with your stinking thinking, well, you need someone to help you out to figure it out. I can help with that. Yeah. And if you're stuck writer block, you go see Betty. She's going to ask, what is it you think? And then she's going to put it into words and you're going to go, wow, that was easy. Yeah, because she's good at it.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned writer's block. I don't believe in writer's block. I believe in life block. Every time you have writer's block, it's because there's something going on in your life that you're pretending not to know about and it's hanging you up. And so what we do is we go, okay, once again, where do you want to go? What do you want this to do? And then we can move through that. And nice. Instead of being a block, it becomes a stepping stone.
Love it. Indeed. And actually, you're bringing so many images. A block becomes a stepping stone, ladies and gentlemen, is when you take the block that you have in your hands, and because you're holding it in your hands, you cannot receive anything else. You drop that block and then you stand on it, and now you're taller. That stumbling block became a stepping stone. And so then you do it again and again. Next thing you know, you're elevating your view, pun intended, so you can see it from a different angle. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. So if people want to work with you, Francois, what's this process look for getting in touch with you and working with you?
LinkedIn, Facebook, website, different things. I have, I don't know if you showcase this, howtobecomemore.com. How to become more. Well, actually, it's right under my name. How to become more.com.
I'll go find it while you were explaining it here.
I put it in the chat. Oh, I need to put it in comments. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I put it in private chat. I can't do private chat, but I put in private chat.
I'll do it. Okay, we'll get.
And so, basically, for me, I'm a communication expert. And by that, I mean, there's two things that we need to know as human beings to communicate. Number one, communication with ourselves. And number two, communicating with others. But in the framework of business, communication with self is sometimes we are our worst enemy. You just need to click on that X there. As they go there, they have a free resource on gratitude. But if you click the X, it's going to remove the... oh, you just took a screenshot? That's okay.
No. It's live.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
And so... and then I see, and that's my age. I was talking about something, I forgot. Communicating with self, communicating with others. That's what I was saying.
Right. Okay.
And so communication with self is sometimes we self-sabotage the things that we know we can do. It says, I like this thing. Are you, what it says right there. Are you tired of the income roller coaster? Take action. People say I'm stuck. Well, start moving. You're no longer stuck. And I like also you're a business athlete, but you're stuck on a performance plateau. You know you can do a lot of things, but are you doing them? And so it's important that the internal dialogue that we have with ourselves is powerful. See, for me, my internal dialogue, mediocrity is not an option. It's not. And information alone does not equal transformation, because for information to create transformation needs integration, and you cannot do that alone. We need others to help us do that. And so, and I have a free resource on people. It's the fastest way to get unstuck when your results are going sideways and you feel discouraged. Hey, many are like that. Yeah, I'm like that sometimes too. So I use that tool. And so there's steps to actually success. Number one, we schedule a call because, how do you say, prescription without analysis is malpractice. I got to find out what's going on. And then we focus on the coaching meeting to find out what it is that's happening in your life. We need to get that clarity. And then we create a goals. Something that Betty doesn't know. Betty, I created the 888 framework. And then I have, testimonials of people in success. And the 888 framework is people think they need to work all the time. Forget about working all the time. You can only, actually, I suggest you work for 8 hours, you sleep for 8 hours, and the other 8 hours, you take it for yourself. And he says, well, that's a concept. Of course. And then I have it right here. And then for you, 8 hours is personal development per day, 2 hours, or professional development. Then exercise and hygiene, 1 hour every day. And then food, 2 hours every day. And then I have activities, hobbies, and relax 3 hours a day. But during the daytime, there's some activities that move the needle. You talked about doing a lot of action. I call this the washing machine syndrome. I do so much, I'm tired, and nothing happens. Yeah, it's the washing machine. Lots of action and going nowhere. You need to find out with clarity what needs to be done, breaking it down, taking action, and then getting some traction, then getting some momentum, and then exponential growth. So that's very powerful for people to understand more and more. We cannot just work, and put ourselves to the grade. It's not worth it. So, but there's ways to do it that are going to enable us to get to the next level. And that 888 framework is one that I use and I teach, and people are saying, I have a life and I'm making money. What a concept. What a concept. And so, yeah, on the website, there's things you can book a call with me or whatever it is that you want. I got a YouTube channel. Oh, Betty, 25,000 views on my YouTube channel this week.
Woo!
Nice work.
Yeah.
Nice work. Yeah.
Nice work.
Yeah, I get an email from them saying, hey, you've reached the threshold. I said, oh, cool. I love it. And so making a difference in people's life. My 10,000 square foot view of what I do is I like to share things that matter with people who care so they can make a difference in their lives and in the lives of all those whom they come in contact with. What does that mean? That means it's a legacy. It's not about money. It's about helping people. But guess what? The more people you help, you'll make some money. Why? Because money is something that you attract. It's not something you chase. If you chase money, guess what? By definition, you chase something, that means it's going away from you. Stop chasing. Start attracting. And to go land the plane with Greg is, Greg, you're doing websites. So the website is actually what's attracting people, answering a question that they have. And so if people are stuck, they need to do something about it. Are you answering where they're stuck? And a website is a great way to do it. And no one better than Betty to put the words onto that website. So it's crafted intelligently so that it can grab both the right and left brain of the people coming in. Here I am talking about, you said, what about me? And next thing you know, I'm talking about you. It's in me. I cannot not do it. You have to shine the light on other people. When? All the time. All the time. And the more you do this, everybody rises as the tide rises. I like the ocean that you have. And I can't wait to put my feet in the sand like this. This looks so cool in the background. I love it.
No, thank you, Francois. So part of our whole thing, like the fun, the joy that Betty and Roy and I have about this total traffic and conversion is it's a collaboration. We all have independent businesses, and we're all to some degree sort of operated as lone wolves. But we said it's more fun if we do it as a group. So we all, the three of us, and then we bring in people like you and others who have special talents and where we can help. And then, that's our process. It's to start at the beginning, very much like yours, figure out where you're at, where you want to go. And then we connect with the right person. And everyone's somewhat unique. Our story is the only thing our clients have with us is us. If we listed off the diversity of our clients, we'd be here all day.
But I think that you do have a commonality to all your clients. You're attracting heart-centered, service-driven entrepreneurs who want to make a difference. That's what you're doing. It's not that there is a commonality to everything that and that's why you're attracting people around. That's why, as I was talking to Betty and she says, this is what we do. I want to contribute to this because that's who I am. And that makes it even better. Actually, you talk about lone wolves, wolf pack. I'm a wolf lover. I love wolves. The way that they do, they're in a pack. The main male has one wife and he stays with her until he dies. And he takes care of the pack, and they work together, and they only attack the things that are dying or old or diseased. So they have this ecosystem that is absolutely wonderful. So when lone wolves come together, they're actually creating and eliminating the waste from what's happening in people's lives and making sure that they have a coherent structure, or what's that word there? Not lifestyle. A company has a, what's that word? Betty, help me out. Culture. There you go. I knew you'd help. See, Betty is the best. So the culture. So help to breed a culture that's going to be conducive to serving others, and that's what it's all about.
There's a painting in the next room here of wolves, and if I know we're going to go there with this conversation, it'd be nice to put it on the screen. So,
if you have a laptop, do it.
Yeah. So it's a little bit hazardous to move over.
It's okay. It's okay.
But anyway, for next time, I'll have it teed up so we can just put it out there.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. Well, and then returning to the wheel again, because we're talking about momentum here and everything. It's the website's in the middle. What else is there? There's the YouTube, there's the Facebook, there's the LinkedIn, there's your content stream that goes directly to your people in your email campaigns. There's your what else we have?
Landing pages that you have. Pages that come in. When you create events, people go and then register, and by registering, they will get the link on a timely basis and reminders. Yeah. So all these things, at first, I had no clue. I used to have lots of hair. No, that's not true. And so we think that we need to do all this stuff. You don't. There's people and there's tools that help you do this step by step. But just start with a plan. And when you have a plan, you go see Greg and Betty, and they put that plan together. And so that's for the structure out there. When you want to structure your mind, you come to me. And interestingly enough, think about this. When's the worst time to think about what you're going to say next?
When someone else is talking.
Or very good. See how a good heart you have. But the worst time is when you're about to say it.
Yeah.
By that, I mean, plan your life.
Yeah.
Plan what you're going to say. Plan the value that you're going to bring to people. And so that way, when they're speaking, you don't need to think about what you're going to say next. You're listening with your heart to everything that they're saying. And this is something that many know. Did you ever notice that listen, Listen, is the same letters in the word silent?
Yes.
So therefore, if you really want to listen, you need to be silent in order to understand. And in order to do this properly, you don't need to think about what you're going to say next in the spur of the moment. Have a plan. Know what you need to do. Yeah. My favorite actor is Nathan Hunt. And so who's Nathan Hunt? Do you know? Oh, you know, okay. Hey, it's Mission Impossible. It's Tom Cruise. But I don't know Tom Cruise. I know Nathan Hunt because he's amazing. And the guy makes $20-30 million per movie. Now I ask everybody here a question. Do you think he's winging it when he's on stage? He has rehearsed it again and again and again so that Tom Cruise doesn't exist anymore. And it's Nathan Hunt that is there. And Nathan Hunt is an amazing agent. And he's got all these skills. So he became it because he practiced it. Hence, for you, for me, and everybody else in life, if you want to perform at high levels, you need to know your stuff. Know your stuff. Know it. Study it. And in my plan of 888, you have 2 hours a day to study it. And then 2 hours a day to relax.
That's great. I want to go back to Betty. You were coming up with the list of the spokes, right?
Yeah.
And
so, I thought of some more.
So I have to mention, so Betty's a writing coach, ghostwriter, content marketer. And so one of the things that we have been talking about for ourselves and some of our clients are books as a lead magnet, or maybe that's the one thing. And we also both like writing, and that's we in a recent broadcast we said people should just write their memoir or whatever it is, even if they don't publish it. It's just a clarifying and
nice.
It can be enlightening, just the process itself. Right? So
because it takes you to the core of what you really care about, which may not be what you think you care about.
That's deep, actually. That's really, it is not superficial. You need to go down.
Yeah. I have to get, and this is part of what we do in our marketing process too. It's like, okay, you think that you're about this or the other, but what are you really about? And what is your true strength versus what you think your strength is? And, they can be quite different. And in order to be effective, you have to understand where you really are versus where you think you are. And that comes down to what do you really want versus what you think you should want. And, it does get deep. And when you do the deep work, then you have that kind of clarity that you're talking about, Francois, and you know where you're standing and you know where you want to go. And you're like, okay, I'm here, that's over there. And I have a clear way of making that connection so that it happens, instead of thinking that you want it and leaving it over here somewhere in the impossible zone, where most people stash what they want the most in their life in the impossible zone, because they're not ready to get into that deep clarity and say, okay, this is what's really going on, and here's what I need to do to make that not only possible but inevitable.
Nice.
Ready to say inevitable, it's not going to happen.
Impossible is spelled I'm possible. Never forget about that. That's what it's spelled that way. That's for sure. And actually, interestingly enough, what you say, you're here and you want to go to your goal, and then you want to have a clear path. Anybody here wants to have a shortcut on how to do this better and faster?
Sure.
So instead of looking from where you are to where you want to go, in your imagination, go to where you want to be. And now act like that person, talk like that person, have interviews like that person, have the business the size that person. And as you do this, you become it. So it goes from your mind to reality. And then when you do that, when you look back at how do I get there, now you have a clear path because you know how to get back there because you were there once in your mind. Actually, do it every day. The more you are there, the more the path will get clear. Doing it the other way, it's easier to connect the dots going backwards than going onto the unknown. So let's trick the brain and be ourselves to actually be there first. And as we be there, then we can imagine, what is it that I need to do? I need to do this. I need to do that. Or that's what this person is doing. Then do that. and next thing you know, you start to attract the success at the level that you're now thinking. It's
Yep.
it's a
That's
short.
what I mean by inevitable. Stand in the inevitable zone, and then like where you are will come to the inevitable zone.
Absolutely. Love it.
Yeah, athletes will often visualize where they're going, a lot of other things. I did a number of things where I couldn't actually do it, so I worked it all out on paper or in my mind or something later. And yeah, so
It
a
helps a
lot,
lot.
yeah, lots of great stuff. I really like it, Francois. So I've been binge watching Abraham Hicks, and everything you've said is consistent with what that whole message
Hey,
is.
and
Yeah,
the reason is the truth is the truth. It's
yeah.
it's it's the same. The principles are the same. All you have to do is find out who you resonate with, and if you resonate with someone, stick with them. Abraham Hicks. Actually, tell me, is Abraham Hicks a guy or a girl?
No, so here's the story. The first experience. My wife Bonnie had a CD that we played in the car, and I said, "Oh, this is really weird." Anyway, but most of the time, so she was on. Esther Hicks was interviewed by Oprah, and so Oprah says, "I knew you when you were normal, so tell me about this." Right? So he had to have a conversation with Esther. And so it said, well, what's Abraham? It says Abraham is, is it singular or plural? And basically, Abraham is a collective of source, right? And how'd you get there? It says, well, I started doing meditations. I was open to the idea that this possibly could happen. I did meditations, and then this group of whatever you call it started communicating through her as Abraham Hicks. So, and she asked me, says, well, is that the same for everyone? Well, it depends. It says, I think everybody's unique. For me and her, I think she's probably got a Judeo-Christian background, so Abraham made sense to her, and and she kind of explained what the mechanism was. It's like, since it's not words, they're not really talking in my head, but I just feel what they want to communicate, and that's what she has in the conversations. Now I probably now watched 20 or 30 hours of these things, right, with her on stage. Like, she does it on many of them are on cruise ships, right? People are on a cruise ship and they go spend 3 hours in a room, and they bring people up on they have in the hot seat, right? And they talk about things. But the Abraham talks with such authority is that they've known this person since birth and they know what they've been doing. Like there are lots of reasons why people might be skeptical about this. I sometimes joke and say, Esther and her husband said, well, this is our story. We're going to stick with it forever. But I think it's real. And I think,
so Abraham Hicks is a woman.
No, Esther Hicks, the person who's on stage talking to everybody, is a woman. And the funny thing is, some of the story is Abraham telling stories about the struggles that Esther has, right? It's a little bit funny because it's coming out of Esther's mouth, but it's Abraham talking about, well, Esther sometimes gets wound up about things, she gets impatient with this. It's really funny.
Yeah, she's channeling Abraham.
Yeah, she said it's not quite channeling, but she's
yeah.
One way of looking at we're working with somebody who is part of a starseed community, and that's a similar kind of idea. And I think what happens is, if you're a Buddhist in that receptive mode, you probably get images coming out of what as they say, no Muslim ever has dreams of the Virgin Mary. It's kind of, it's whatever you as a human are capable, like, it communicates in a way that you can kind of understand.
Yes and no, because Muslims do honor Christianity.
But
the thing is that it's not their image in their mind. They're not programmed with that image.
Yeah. Actually, to clarify that, the Muslims of all of those groups are the one that realizes the whole lineage from the beginning to the end, right? Abraham's part of their group, Jesus is part of their heritage.
Right.
As one Muslim taxi driver said to me, he says, yeah, we're all part of this one continuum, says, but we're not buying that virgin birth thing. So.
That's okay. And that's fine. I say everybody's got their own things, and that's good. If we were all the same, this world would be boring. So
Yeah.
they bring
Yeah.
different perspective. I see it as everybody is climbing a mountain. And as you're climbing the mountain, you look and you say, oh, look at the nice forest. It's amazing. And you talk to someone else who's climbing. You say, what are you talking about, forest? It's the ocean. And they go, what are you talking about, ocean? It's the forest. And then they can go into a war and fight. What are you talking about? They're climbing different sides of the mountain. Let's get to the top of the mountain. When they get to the top of the mountain, they go, oh, there's the forest. And it goes, oh, there's the ocean. So we have to stop arguing as we're climbing the mountain, but rather pay respect to the others the way they're bringing. If you want to be respected, respect others is one of the things that I see is so powerful to help others. You want to be respected, respect others. And they have a perspective that you don't have. And from there, you can say, how can this serve me? How can I? And then next thing you know, you're growing, and you're expanding. And so is your understanding and the impact that you can have with people around you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
And
So Abraham Hicks, so all this started from Abraham Hicks knowing if a girl or a boy. And actually, interestingly enough, you say channeling. Again, it's just a matter of using the words that describe your life and the way that we see things. But if you think about it, when we talked at first, we said, I can only see this way. And so as I can only see this way, if I have someone else, he has a different perspective. Yeah. Well, Abraham Hicks is another perspective of Esther Hicks' life. That's, you want to put it in simple terms and everybody going, oh yeah, that makes sense. And so having someone, and lastly, which is cool, sometimes say, oh, we do masterminds. But I have no time. So create a mastermind in your mind. Betty knows that I do this with all my clients. I says, you can have on an imaginary table all different people that you respect their opinion from. And then when you have a problem, you come to this table in your mind and you ask them questions about that problem. And actually, I have one that's on my table. His name is Leo Spino. He was my best friend. And at 21 years old, he died of a motorcycle accident. Then he got engaged Sunday night. He died Monday morning. Holy moly. And so whenever I'm going to have some challenges in my life, I go and says, Leo, what do you think? And he always tells me, stop complaining. You're alive. You can do something about it. I can't. Make it happen. He always has the same message, but he's a kick in the butt that I get to make me going. And again, that's another perspective. You can play with your mind and use it to your advantage rather than your disadvantage. It's lovely. I love it.
Yeah. Along those lines of your hiking analogy, there are people who come and they will see something on the path that they don't like, some litter or something, and they get so wound up with that they don't see either the ocean or the mountain. So.
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah.
So. Oh, it's so true. You just brought something up. Walking on the beach with my sister a couple of years ago, and we're having a lovely time. And as we get closer to the hotel, she starts complaining about people leaving litter and tisk-tisking about it and getting all worked up. And I was like, come on, yes, it's wrong of them to do this. You can pick the stuff up and just keep moving, or you can get all upset about it. And is that helping anything? No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Actually, I just put something in a private chat. You decide if you want to or not. I do super classes every 3 weeks, and I think they're awesome. and on the 16th, which is next week, is finally revealed the 3 hidden success traits of highly successful people. Ignore at your own risk.
That's perfect.
So I don't know. I love and there's nothing to sell in these things. I just make people become aware of things that they did not know. And at the end, they go, wow, this is amazing. And so as you do more of this, then it helps everybody. And that's what it's about, helping others.
Helping others.
And that's what you're doing with your total traffic and conversion. You're helping someone that has a message to bring it out there so that they can have lots of people seeing it and they can have a conversion. That means that pay dirt. Betty knows a lot of people, they have great ideas, and then people have the problem and they can solve that problem, but they cannot connect the dots. There's this big chasm in between the two. And so in order to fill that, well, you can build a wheel, and that wheel has got many spokes, but you can't do it alone. You need others to do it. And so, it makes a difference. Get your word out there any which way you can. And Greg and Betty can help you do so.
Yeah. And if you want to, Francois, if you want to join our wolf pack, you're welcome to join our total traffic and conversion wolf pack. And we're happy to, I think anybody here listening should go take them up on the free webinars registration, all those other, you got lots of tools on your website. Make an appointment, come go talk with you. and
I'm here to serve.
you're here to serve. Yeah, and us with
That's what we do.
we have Betty and Roy and I. We have a thing where the first step is to come and book a session with us, and we'll go try to figure out where you are and where you want to go, and come up with a roadmap, which may or may not involve what we do. So it
Yeah.
And that's okay.
yeah, that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For first step, are we the right wheel for you? You
Yeah.
know?
And communication starts that process. We got to find out. And everybody, this is something I like to throw out there that's pretty cool. Sometimes says, oh, they want to have a free session with me. They're going to sell me something. If you think about it, unless you speak about what it is that you want, how will it ever come to pass?
Yes.
And when you're taking advantage of those opportunities to speak with someone, you are articulating thoughts that you have, and now they start to crystallize even more. And then you realize, hey, this is good. And then someone says, that's a good thing. You should do more of it. Or maybe you shouldn't do that one. How about we try something else? But you have that perspective. Communication is key. First with self, then with others. Let's make it happen.
Yep. That's true.
Let's make it happen. That sounds like something we usually say, doesn't it, Betty?
It sure does. Hit the ground running and make it go.
Yeah, we usually say something like, just do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Start moving. You can make adjustments later. But like, actually, my brother and I stopped off to go to, we got stuck in traffic, and we thought it would be better to get off the road and go to for a movie and popcorn, right? And I don't know, with Google GPS, the problem is when you get into somewhere, it doesn't really know what direction you're heading. So you can't really count on it when you're starting from scratch. You have to start in a direction before it has enough information to tell you where you need to go.
Yeah.
I love this thing. I used to get lost with a map.
Yeah.
Seriously. And then they got GPS. And then when they got GPS, I said, this is great. But sometimes I have to go to the street corner and wait for it to turn to know if I go right or left at that street corner. So you just said it. Even though you have a map, you need to take action to know where that map's going to lead you. That's awesome. I love it.
I got lost in my own basement, but that's a different story.
So true. Oh, man.
This is great. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for joining us, Francois. This is really fun. And our the other motto that Betty and Roy and I have is it has to be fun. So if we're not laughing, then why are we doing it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Life's not worth it, for sure. But we need to be serious also. And the serious thing about what we said is to have total traffic and conversion, you need to have clarity. To have clarity, it's hard to get it ourselves. Let's get some experts to get us again some traction, some momentum, and then some exponential growth. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Yeah. So
that's true.
Book a session with Francois, book a session with Betty and I and Roy. Check us out, Total Traffic and Conversion. I put the link in there, and I've got Francois's link in there, and he's got the webinar link and lots of options. We're here, as you said, Francois, we're here to serve. We're here to help you wherever it is you want to do. We can at least provide some insights into, what that might be, what it might look like, and if we can help you, we will.
Excellent. Love it. Thank you so much, everybody. God bless and all you do.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to tee up our little video again here.
Here we go.
Ta-da!